Hello everyone, welcome to the What If Anime YouTube channel. Today, we are diving into an exciting new story that will take your imagination to the next level. Let's get started. What if Naruto becomes dark after betrayal of Sakura and Sasuke? The sun hung low over Konoha, painting the Hokage monument in shades of amber and gold. Shadows stretched long across the village streets as Naruto Uzumaki bounded from rooftop to rooftop, his heart lighter than it had been in months. The fourth great ninja war was over. Kage defeated. Even Sasuke had returned, albeit reluctantly, to the village. Things were finally looking up. Naruto landed on a telephone pole, balancing effortlessly as he scanned the village below. His enhanced senses, courtesy of the Nine-Tails chakra now fully integrated with his own, picked up familiar chakra signatures. One in particular made his heart skip. Sakura was at the training grounds with Sasuke. Perfect. He'd been meaning to talk to them both. With a grin spreading across his whiskered face, Naruto leapt toward the training grounds. The future he'd always envisioned seemed within reach at last. Team 7 reunited, Sasuke home, and maybe, just maybe, Sakura would finally see him as more than the hyperactive knucklehead ninja. The forest thickened as he approached the training area. Naruto slowed his pace, picking up snippets of conversation carried on the evening breeze. He paused on a high branch, the dense foliage concealing his presence. "Are you sure about this?" Sakura's voice, uncharacteristically hesitant. "I've never been more certain." Sasuke's reply was cold, calculated. Naruto froze, his hand instinctively gripping the rough bark of the tree. Something in their tone set off warning bells in his mind. "But what about Naruto?" Sakura pressed. "After everything he's done, Naruto is a means to an end, nothing more." Sasuke's words cut through the air like a poisoned kunai. He's served his purpose. The council is already questioning his stability with the Nine-Tails. They fear his power, as they should. A cold weight settled in Naruto's stomach. He inched closer, careful to mask his chakra. "The village needs stability now." Sasuke continued. "The Uchiha name still carries weight. With you by my side as head medical ninja, we could reshape Konoha, make it stronger. But Naruto, his idealism is a liability." Naruto's breath caught in his throat. He'd misheard. He must have misheard. "I've already spoken to Kakashi," Sasuke said. "The perfect mission to handle the situation. An assassination mission?" Sakura's voice dipped lower. "Disguised as a diplomatic mission to the land of iron? They'll never find his body in those mountains." Sakura was quiet for a long moment. Naruto's heart hammered against his ribs, blood rushing in his ears. This couldn't be happening. Not after everything they'd been through together. "You know I've always loved you, Sasuke," Sakura finally said. "Not him. Never him. But this seems extreme. The Nine-Tails can't be allowed to remain unchecked. The power Naruto wields, no one should have that much influence. And with his ties to the other tailed beasts, he's too dangerous." Naruto's vision blurred, rage and hurt battling for supremacy in his chest. He gripped the tree so hard that bark splintered beneath his fingers. "After the mission, we move forward with our plans," Sasuke continued. "The village council already favors me as the next Hokage candidate. With Naruto gone, I understand." Sakura's voice hardened with resolve. For the future of the village, something shattered inside Naruto. Something fundamental that had kept him anchored through every hardship. The unwavering belief in his friends. The certainty that no matter how dark things got, Team 7's bonds would hold. A twig snapped beneath his foot. The conversation below ceased instantly. "Someone's here," Sasuke hissed, his Sharingan activating with a flare of chakra. Naruto didn't wait. Abandoning stealth, he dropped from the tree, landing in the small clearing where his teammates, his friends, stood. The look on his face must have told them everything. "Naruto." Sakura's eyes widened, her hand flying to her mouth. "How long have you?" "Long enough." His voice sounded alien to his own ears, rougher, darker. The Nine-Tails chakra flickered around him, responding to his turbulent emotions. Sasuke's expression remained impassive, but his hand drifted toward his sword. "So you heard every word." Naruto's gaze shifted between them, searching desperately for some sign, any sign, that this was all a misunderstanding. A genjutsu. A nightmare. After everything we've been through. After all the promises made by children. Sasuke replied coolly. We're shinobi, Naruto. Power and strategy are what matter in the end, not sentiment. And you? Naruto turned to Sakura, his voice breaking. Was it all a lie? Everything we fought for. I never asked you to save Sasuke for me. Sakura interrupted, her green eyes hard as jade. That was your obsession, not mine. I'm a medical ninja. I think of the greater good. The village needs stability, not a Jinchuriki with too much power and too little control. The betrayal cut deeper than any physical wound Naruto had ever suffered. The golden chakra around him darkened, taking on a reddish hue. I would have died for you, he whispered. Both of you, and now we're asking you to die for the village. Sasuke replied, drawing his sword in one fluid motion. This complicates things, but the outcome remains the same. The world seemed to slow down as Sasuke lunged forward, Chidori crackling to life along his blade. Sakura circled to the right, chakra glowing around her fists. Team 7, fractured beyond repair. Something snapped inside Naruto. A final thread of restraint. The Nine Tails chakra erupted around him. Not the controlled golden glow he mastered, but something wilder, darker. His canines lengthened, nails sharpening to claws. You want to see lack of control? Naruto growled, his voice overlaid with Kurama's deeper tones. I'll show you what that really means. The explosion of chakra that followed leveled trees for 100 yards in every direction. When the dust settled, Naruto stood alone in the crater, blood dripping from his claws. Sakura lay unconscious at the edge of the destruction, her body battered but alive. Of Sasuke, there was no sign, only a trail of blood leading into the forest, and the lingering scent of ozone from a hastily executed teleportation jutsu. Naruto looked down at his hands, at the blood staining his skin. Something fundamental had changed within him. The boundless optimism that had defined him for so long lay shattered at his feet. In its place, something darker took root. If they want a monster, he whispered to the empty clearing, I'll give them one. The last rays of sunlight vanished behind the Hokage monument, plunging the forest into darkness. And in that darkness, Naruto Uzumaki made a new promise to himself, one born not of hope, but of vengeance. Konoha would soon learn what it meant to betray the one they had feared all along. Kakashi Hatake stood before the Hokage's desk, his visible eye betraying nothing of his thoughts. Tsunade's office was bathed in the pale light of dawn, casting long shadows across the room. Tell me again, Tsunade said, her voice tight with controlled fury. Exactly what happened. The training ground was destroyed, Kakashi replied evenly. Sakura was found unconscious with significant chakra burns and internal injuries. Sasuke managed to escape with severe wounds. He's in critical condition at the hospital. And Naruto. He hesitated. Naruto is gone. Tsunade pressed her fingers to her temples. And you had no knowledge of this plan they concocted? None, Lady Hokage. Kakashi's voice remained steady, though the slight tightening around his eye suggested otherwise. Though I've had my suspicions about Sasuke's ambitions since his return. Suspicions you failed to report. Tsunade snapped. She slammed her fist on the desk, splintering the wood. Damn it! How could those two be so foolish? To plot against Naruto, of all people, they feared his power. Chizun interjected softly from the corner of the room. The council has been whispering about it for months. After what happened with Pain, after the war, some believe he's too powerful to be left unchecked. And now we have a Jinchuriki with unprecedented power, wounded by the deepest kind of betrayal, loose in the shinobi world. Tsunade's honey-colored eyes blazed. Find him, Kakashi. Before he does something we'll all regret. Kakashi bowed slightly. And when I find him, the question hung heavy in the air. Bring him home if you can, Tsunade finally said. If not, she didn't finish the thought. She didn't need to. As Kakashi turned to leave, the door burst open. Shikamaru Nara stood in the doorway, his usually bored expression replaced by one of barely contained urgency. Lady Tsunade, he said, his breathing heavy from running. We've received reports from the border patrol. A contingent of Cloud Ninja has been attacked. No survivors, and you're bringing this to me because... Tsunade raised an eyebrow. Because the bodies were surrounded by scorched earth in a spiral pattern. Shikamaru's gaze was grim. And there were traces of red chakra that burned through everything it touched. The room fell silent. It's begun. Tsunade whispered. Outside, storm clouds gathered over Konoha. Miles away, deep in the forest bordering the land of lightning, Naruto sat cross-legged atop a moss-covered boulder. Rain pelted his bare shoulders, plastering his blonde hair to his forehead, but he didn't seem to notice. His eyes, no longer the bright blue that had once reflected his indomitable spirit, but tinged with red, stared unseeingly into the distance. They would have killed you, Kit. Kurama's voice resonated within his mind, softer than usual. You did what was necessary. I didn't come to them for comfort. Naruto replied aloud, his voice hollow. They came for me. Cloud Ninja, thinking they could claim the reward already on my head. The world moves quickly when it fears something. Naruto's lips twisted in a bitter smile. They've always feared me. I was just too blind to see it. He uncurled his fingers, revealing a crumpled bingo book page. His own face stared back at him, alongside a description. Naruto Uzumaki, S-class threat, approach with extreme caution. Wanted for questioning regarding the attack on fellow Leaf Shinobi. Not even a full day, and already he was branded a criminal. All those years, Naruto whispered. Fighting to protect them. Bleeding for them. And how quickly they turn. What will you do now, Naruto? Kurama asked, genuine curiosity in the ancient fox's voice. Naruto closed his eyes, feeling the rain wash the dried blood from his skin. I'm done trying to earn their acceptance, he said finally. I'm done being their weapon, their savior, only to be discarded when convenient. If Konoha wants peace and stability so badly, I'll show them what real chaos looks like. Within his mindscape, Kurama's massive form shifted, tails swishing with interest. And your precious people? The ones who haven't betrayed you? Flashes of faces appeared in Naruto's mind. Irika, who had acknowledged him first. Gaara, who understood his pain. Hinata, who had always seen his worth. Jiraiya, who had believed in him until the end. They'll have to choose sides, Naruto replied, hardening his heart. No more middle ground. He stood, allowing Kurama's chakra to flow freely through his system. It felt different now, darker, wilder, yet somehow more in sync with his own. First, he said, we need information. About the village, about who supported Sasuke's plan, about the council's machinations, and where will you find such intelligence? Naruto's expression darkened. From the one person who's always had his fingers in Konoha's darkest secrets. The one who offered me power once before, Orochimaru. Kurama growled. You would trust the snake Sannin? Trust? Naruto laughed, a harsh sound devoid of humor. No. But use him? Absolutely. He leapt from the boulder, moving with inhuman speed through the storm-lashed forest. Lightning split the sky, illuminating his path as he headed south, toward the last known location of Orochimaru's hidden laboratory. Behind him, the bodies of the Cloud Ninja smoldered in the rain, a warning to any who would follow. The spark of darkness that had ignited in Naruto's heart was growing, feeding on his pain and disillusionment. The will of fire that Konoha had instilled in him still burned, but it had transformed into something unrecognizable, something that would consume everything in its path. The abandoned laboratory reeked of chemicals and decay. Water dripped from cracked ceiling tiles, forming putrid puddles on the stone floor. Naruto moved silently through the dimly lit corridors, his senses alert for traps or guards. He found neither. Only emptiness and the lingering scent of snake. I know you're here. Naruto called into the shadows. You're too paranoid to abandon a facility without monitoring it. Silence answered him, stretching long enough that a less patient man might have doubted himself. But Naruto waited, still as stone, his chakra tightly controlled. My. A silky voice finally emerged from the darkness. What an unexpected visitor I have. Orochimaru materialized from the shadows as if birthed by them, his pale face a mask of calculated amusement. His golden, serpentine eyes assessed Naruto with clinical interest. The Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, all alone and so far from home. Orochimaru's thin lips curved upward, and radiating such delicious killing intent. Has something upset you, Naruto-kun? Cut the act. Naruto growled. You know why I'm here, do I? Orochimaru circled him slowly. Perhaps you finally decided to accept my offer of power? Though I must say, you seem to have plenty of your own now. That chakra, it's changed. He inhaled deeply, as if savoring a fine wine. Darker. More potent. How fascinating. I want information, Naruto said flatly. About Konoha's council. About who supported Sasuke's bid for power. Orochimaru's eyes gleamed with sudden understanding. Ah. So that's what drove the hero of Konoha to my doorstep. He chuckled softly. Betrayal has a distinctive flavor, doesn't it? Bitter at first, but clarifying in the end. Will you help me or not? Naruto's patience wore thin, Kurama's chakra flickering around him like crimson lightning. Information has its price, Naruto-kun. Orochimaru's tongue flicked out, tasting the air. What do you offer in exchange? Naruto reached into his pocket and withdrew a small scroll. Forbidden jutsu from the Uzumaki clan archives. Techniques for binding tailed beasts that even Konoha doesn't possess. Orochimaru's eyes widened fractionally, the equivalent of open shock on anyone else. And where did you acquire such treasures? I'm not the idiot everyone thinks I am. Naruto replied coldly. I've been collecting information about my clan for years. Insurance, in case Konoha ever turned on me. How prudent. Orochimaru extended a pale hand. May I? Naruto held the scroll just out of reach. Information first. The Sanin's smile widened. Very well. Follow me. He led Naruto deeper into the laboratory, to a room filled with scrolls and strange, glowing containers. At the center stood a table with an intricate map of the 5 great nations, markers indicating hidden bases and secret paths. Sasuke's plan wasn't entirely his own. Orochimaru began, tracing a long finger over Konoha's location on the map. The seeds were planted by Danzo before his death, contingencies within contingencies. The old Warhawk never trusted the Jinchuriki system. Danzo's dead. Naruto countered. Who's pulling the strings now? The council elders, naturally. Hamura and Koharu. They've always feared unchecked power they couldn't control. Orochimaru's gaze flickered to Naruto's abdomen, where the seal containing Kurama lay. But they have unexpected allies. The feudal lord of the Land of Fire, for one. He sees you as a potentially destabilizing force in the delicate post-war political landscape. And Kakashi? Tsunade, the Hokage, is your staunchest defender, though her position grows precarious. As for Kakashi, Orochimaru shrugged elegantly. He walks the line between loyalty to Konoha and loyalty to his students. A difficult position. Naruto absorbed this information, his expression darkening with each revelation. The other villages? Opportunistic, as always. Orochimaru pointed to markers across the map. The alliance forged during the war is fracturing. Cloud and Stone would happily see you eliminated as a threat. Sand remains your ally, the Kazekage's influence, no doubt. Mist is cautiously neutral, and Sasuke and Sakura? Who backs them? The young Uchiha has gathered quite the coalition. Orochimaru said, something like pride coloring his voice. And be you loyalists, clan heads concerned about the balance of power, even civilian merchants who see him as a stabilizing force for commerce. Your former teammate has positioned himself well, and their next move? Orochimaru's smile turned predatory. Consolidation of power. Sasuke will recover from his injuries, then push for official sanction to hunt you down. He'll frame it as protecting the village from an unstable Jinchuriki. And with you conveniently labeled a rogue ninja, they can kill me without consequence. Naruto finished. His fists clenched, chakra swirling visibly around them. Precisely. Orochimaru studied him with naked curiosity. What will you do with this information, I wonder? Run? Hide? Or something far more interesting? Naruto was quiet for a long moment, his gaze fixed on the map. When he finally looked up, his eyes had shifted, the blue almost entirely subsumed by crimson. I'm going to tear their world apart, he said, his voice deadly calm. Not with brute force, that's what they expect. But by exposing the Rata Konoha's core. By turning their allies against them. By making them face every dark secret and compromise they'd buried. He tossed the scroll to Orochimaru, who caught it with a flick of his wrist. There's your payment. But I want more than just information. Naruto's gaze hardened. I want access to your network of spies. Your hidden bases. Your research on forbidden techniques. Orochimaru's eyebrows rose. My. You ask for quite a lot, Naruto-kun. In return, Naruto continued as if the Sannin hadn't spoken. You get my protection. And when the time comes to reshape the shinobi world, a place at the table. A slow, genuine smile spread across Orochimaru's face. How delightful. The hero becomes the pragmatist. He extended his hand. You have yourself an ally, Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto took the offered hand, feeling the cool, smooth skin of the snake Sannin against his palm. It should have disgusted him once. Now, it felt like necessity. Don't mistake this for trust. Naruto warned. Cross me, and what I did to those Cloud Ninja will seem merciful by comparison. Orochimaru only laughed. Oh, I wouldn't dream of it. This is far too entertaining to spoil. As they sealed their pact, Naruto felt another piece of his former self crumble away. The Naruto who had dreamed of becoming Hokage, of earning the village's respect through unwavering nobility, seemed a distant memory now. A child's fantasy. Reality required darker methods. There's one more thing you should know, Orochimaru said as they turned to leave the map room. Something that might interest you greatly. Naruto paused. What? Danzo's private archives, the ones not even the council knows about. They contain information on every dark operation Konoha has ever sanctioned, including, his eyes gleamed maliciously, the truth about the night the Nine-Tails attacked. The complete truth. Naruto went utterly still. Where? Hidden beneath the Naka shrine. Behind seals only Uchiha eyes, or perhaps the chakra of the Nine-Tails itself, can open. Orochimaru's smile widened. Wouldn't that make interesting reading? In the shadows of his mind, Kurama stirred restlessly. He speaks truth, Kit. There are secrets about that night even I don't know. Secrets about your parents, and about why I was set loose upon Konoha. Naruto nodded slowly. Show me how to find these archives. As Orochimaru began outlining the location of Danzo's secret vault, a plan began to form in Naruto's mind. Not just revenge, though that burned hot in his veins, but something more comprehensive. A complete dismantling of the system that had used and betrayed him. The shinobi world had created him, molded him into a weapon. Now they would face the consequences of that creation. The birth of a darker Naruto Uzumaki had begun. Rain lashed against the windows of Konoha Hospital, driven by howling winds that seemed to mirror the tension within. The village's top medical nin bustled around Sasuke Uchiha's bed, their faces drawn with concentration as they worked to stabilize his condition. His chakra network is severely damaged, one medic reported, hands glowing green over Sasuke's chest. It's like it was burned from the inside. In the corner of the room, Sakura Haruno stood with her arms crossed, her own injuries bandaged but largely healed. Her expression remained carefully neutral as she watched the team work on the man she had conspired with. Will he recover? Her voice betrayed nothing. Eventually, the head medic replied. But he won't be combat ready for weeks, perhaps months. The nature of these injuries. He shook his head. I've never seen anything like it. The Nine-Tails chakra has somehow corrupted his own. Sakura's fingers tightened on her arms. I see. The hospital room door slid open, revealing Kakashi Hatake. His visible eye swept over the scene, lingering momentarily on Sasuke's unconscious form before settling on Sakura. A word, he said quietly. Not a request. Sakura followed him into the hallway, closing the door behind her. For a long moment, teacher and student regarded each other in tense silence. A dead Cloud Ninja, Kakashi finally said. Burned beyond recognition. Found at the border between fire and lightning countries. Sakura's eyes widened slightly, but she quickly composed herself. Naruto? Who else could it be? Kakashi's voice was unerringly calm. The wreckage is demanding answers. The fragile peace we established after the war is crumbling, and it's been less than 48 hours. Sakura looked away. We couldn't have predicted. Couldn't have predicted what? Kakashi cut her off, his tone hardening. That betraying someone who considered you family might have severe consequences? That conspiring to assassinate a war hero with unprecedented power might backfire? Please, Sakura, enlighten me on what part of this disaster you failed to anticipate. A flush crept up Sakura's neck. We did what we thought was necessary for the village. Did you? Kakashi leaned closer. Or did you do what was convenient for Sasuke's ambitions? For your own? That's not fair. She protested, but the words sounded hollow even to her own ears. No, what's not fair is that I failed all three of you. Kakashi replied, sudden weariness evident in his slouched posture. I should have seen this coming. Should have prevented it. Sakura was silent for a moment. What happens now? Now? Kakashi let out a humorless laugh. Now we hunt down our comrade. Our friend. Before he does something that can't be undone. And if we find him? The question hung in the air between them, heavy with implication. Lady Tsunade has ordered his capture if possible, Kakashi said carefully. But the council has issued different commands. Understanding dawned in Sakura's eyes. Elimination, yes. And guess who they've assigned to the task force? Us, Sakura whispered. Because we know him best. Because you broke him. Kakashi corrected flatly. So you get to clean up the mess. He turned to leave, then paused. One more thing. Whatever happens, whatever Naruto does next, remember that this began with your betrayal. Not his. The words struck Sakura like physical blows. She watched Kakashi's back as he walked away, his shoulders bearing the weight of yet another team torn apart. Inside the hospital room, unnoticed by the medical team, Sasuke's fingers twitched. His eyes moved rapidly beneath closed lids, caught in dreams or nightmares of a friendship irreparably shattered. The Naka shrine stood silent and abandoned in the rain-soaked night. Once a sacred place for the Uchiha clan, it had fallen into disrepair after the massacre, becoming little more than a memorial to a dead lineage. Naruto moved like a shadow through the broken gate, his senses alert for traps or guards. Finding none, he proceeded to the main hall, where faded Uchiha symbols adorned cracked stone walls. This place reeks of old blood. Kurama rumbled within him. And older secrets. Orochimaru's instructions were clear. Naruto murmured, approaching the central tatami mat. The entrance should be below. He channeled Kurama's chakra, not his own, but the pure fox chakra, into his palm and pressed it against the floor. The tatami smoldered, then disintegrated, revealing a stone trapdoor marked with complex seals. Blood seals, Kurama observed. Uchiha blood, specifically. Naruto reached into his pocket and withdrew a small vial, a parting gift from Orochimaru. Good thing our snake friend is a collector, he said grimly, uncorking the vial to reveal thick, dark blood. He poured the contents over the seal. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the symbols began to glow an angry red before fading entirely. The stone slab slid aside with a grinding sound, revealing a narrow staircase descending into darkness. Naruto created a shadow clone to guard the entrance, then descended into the vault. The air below was stale and heavy with dust. Naruto lit a small flame in his palm, a technique he'd rarely had use for before, illuminating rows of shelves filled with scrolls, books, and strange artifacts. Danzo's private collection, he whispered. The secrets Konoha never wanted found. He moved methodically through the archive, scanning labels and contents. Most were records of assassinations, coups orchestrated in neighboring countries, blackmail material on feudal lords and rival villages. The dirty underbelly of Konoha's pristine reputation. Then, in the furthest corner, he found what he sought, a sealed chest marked with the symbol of the Hokage's office and a single date. The night the Nine Tails attacked the village. Naruto's hands trembled slightly as he broke the seal. Inside lay a thick folder and what appeared to be a mask, white porcelain etched with strange markings. He opened the folder first. Operation Containment. The header read. Subject, Chubi no Kitsune. Primary targets, Minato Namake's Kushina Uzumaki. Naruto's breath caught. His parents, The documents detailed surveillance of Kushina during her pregnancy, contingency plans for containing the Ninetales should the CO weaken during childbirth, standard protocol for a Jinchuriki. But as he read further, his blood ran cold. Intelligence suggests foreign intervention likely. Unknown masked shinobi with space-time ninjutsu capabilities observed near village perimeter. Council authorization for preemptive action granted. The next pages contain mission parameters for ENBU operatives. Not to protect the fourth Hokage and his wife, but to force Minato's hand if necessary. In the event Namikaze prioritizes his family over the village, protocol severing is authorized. Attached was a detailed plan to isolate Kushina, trigger the release of the Ninetales, and ensure it could be resealed in a more appropriate vessel. They planned it, Naruto whispered, horror and rage building in equal measure. They were ready to sacrifice my parents if my father didn't follow their agenda, and they wonder why I despise humans. Kurama growled. Your village has always seen us as weapons, nothing more. Further documents revealed the aftermath. Danzo's disappointment that an unknown party had acted first, robbing him of control over the situation. His maneuvering to have the infant Naruto isolated from the village, creating the perfect weapon through loneliness and desperation for acceptance. The Jinchuriki must remain loyal to Konoha above all else. Personal attachments are to be discouraged. Regular psychological evaluation recommended to ensure compliance. Naruto's hands shook so violently that he nearly tore the pages. All those years of isolation, of being shunned and feared, not just the natural reaction of villagers who lost loved ones to the Ninetales, but a calculated strategy to make him desperate for Konoha's approval, to create the perfect, loyal weapon. They used me, he whispered. From the beginning. They used my parents' deaths, my loneliness, everything, to shape me into what they needed. And now that you've outgrown their control. Kurama let the thought hang. Now they want me eliminated. Naruto closed the folder, his decision crystallizing into cold, hard resolve. Well, they've created exactly what they feared. He gathered the documents and the strange mask, securing them in his pack. These weren't just leverage. They were vindication. Proof that his darkening path was justified. As he climbed the stairs back to the shrine, Naruto felt something shift within him, a final severance from the boy who had blindly sought Konoha's acceptance. That Naruto was gone, consumed by the flames of betrayal and revelation. In his place stood someone new. Someone forged in the crucible of harsh truth. Outside, the storm had intensified, lightning splitting the sky over Konoha. Naruto stood at the shrine entrance, rain soaking his clothing as he gazed down at the village that had both created and condemned him. Time to show them what they've made, he said softly, and with that, he vanished into the tempest, leaving nothing but scattered raindrops where he had stood. The stage was set for Konoha to reap what it had sown. The land of iron existed in perpetual winter, its mountains shrouded in snow and ice year-round. A neutral territory in the conflicts between shinobi nations, it served as a perfect meeting ground, and an ideal place for Naruto to begin unraveling the fragile peace of the shinobi world. He stood atop a jagged cliff overlooking the samurai fortress of the Three Wolves, his breath crystallizing in the frigid air. Wind whipped his tattered cloak, black now, emblazoned with crimson spirals that mimicked the Uzumaki clan symbol but twisted into something more sinister. His hair had grown longer, wilder, the blonde strands streaked with rust-red highlights that seemed to glow in the pale moonlight. 6 weeks had passed since his flight from Konoha. 6 weeks of careful planning, of gathering intelligence, of making connections with those who harbored resentments against the hidden villages. Now, it was time to act. Are you certain this is wise? The voice belonged to Karen Uzumaki, one of the few surviving members of his clan. She stood several paces behind him, her red hair bright against the snow, glasses fogged slightly from her breath. The 5 Kage Summit is the most heavily guarded event in the shinobi world, which makes it the perfect stage, Naruto replied without turning. His voice had changed too, deeper, rougher, as if permanently tinged with Kurama's growl. Every major player in one place. Karen adjusted her glasses nervously. When Naruto had appeared at Orochimaru's northern hideout a month ago, offering her protection and purpose as a fellow Uzumaki, she'd been skeptical. But the dark charisma he now exuded, so different from the boisterous boy she'd glimpsed during the war, had proven compelling. "Sir Jetsu and Yugo are in position," she reported. "The security routes are mapped, and we've identified the weak points in the sensor barrier." Naruto nodded. "And our special guest?" Karen's expression soured. "Waiting at the rendezvous point, as agreed. Though I still don't trust him." "You don't need to trust him." Naruto finally turned, his eyes gleaming red in the darkness. "You just need to trust me." Below them, the fortress glittered with lights, samurai guards patrolling the walls in precise formations. Inside those walls, the leaders of the 5 great shinobi nations were gathering to address the growing crisis. The rogue Jinchuriki who threatened the hard-won peace of the alliance. Little did they know, he was about to walk right through their front door. Inside the central chamber of the fortress, tensions ran high. The 5 Kage sat around the circular table, their bodyguards positioned strategically around the perimeter of the room. Nifune, the elderly general of the Land of Iron, presided over the gathering with a grave expression. "We must address the Uzumaki situation directly," Darui, the newly appointed Reikage, was saying. His normally languid demeanor had hardened into something more severe. 8 of my shinobi slaughtered at the border. Intelligence reports placing him in contact with Orochimaru, the formation of what appears to be a new organization composed of rogue elements from various villages. An organization that includes several Uzumaki clan survivors. The former Reikage who had come as advisor to Darui, added gruffly. "Gathered for what purpose, we can only speculate." Gaara, his pale green eyes shadowed with concern, leaned forward. "Before we continue treating Naruto as an enemy, we should consider what drove him to this point." The young Kazekage's voice remained calm, but carried an undercurrent of steel. "My intelligence suggests the initial conflict arose from a plot within Konoha itself." All eyes turned to Tsunade, who sat with her hands clasped before her face, her expression thunderous. "The actions of Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruna were not sanctioned by Konoha leadership," she stated flatly. "They acted on their own initiative, possibly influenced by elements of the council." "Convenient," Kuratsuchi, the Tsuchikage, drawled. "But the fact remains that 2 of your most prominent shinobi conspired to assassinate the hero of the 4th war. And now that hero has gone rogue, with the power of the 9 Tails fully at his command, a threat that Konoha created." Chojuro, the soft-spoken Mizukage, added. "And therefore, Konoha should bear the primary responsibility for containing." Tsunade slammed her fist on the table, cracking the thick stone. "You speak as if we haven't been hunting him for weeks. As if I didn't send our best tracking teams. Your best isn't good enough." Darui interrupted coolly. "The disruption to commerce alone justifies a unified response. Traders refuse to move between countries for fear of encountering him. Mission requests have plummeted. The stability we fought for is unraveling. Perhaps." A new voice cut through the chamber. "You should ask me directly what I want." Every head whipped toward the entrance. Guards reached for weapons, bodyguards moved protectively toward their kage. Naruto Uzumaki stood in the doorway, flanked by Karen and a hooded figure. He wore no headband, his forehead bare except for the natural creases that formed as he surveyed the room with crimson-tinged eyes. "Impossible," I growled. "The sensor barrier is impressive," Naruto finished, stepping into the room with casual confidence. "But not designed to keep out someone who absorbed fragments of chakra from all 9-tailed beasts." Gaara rose slowly from his seat, surprise and something like hope flickering across his normally impassive features. Naruto's gaze softened fractionally as it landed on the Kazekage. "Gaara, you look well. How dare you walk in here?" Darui snarled, lightning chakra crackling around his fists. "After what you did to my shinobi." "Your shinobi," Naruto replied evenly, "were sent to assassinate me, with orders signed by you." He reached into his cloak and withdrew a blood-stained scroll, tossing it onto the table. "Did you think I wouldn't notice the Cloud Village's official seal?" Darui's expression faltered. I turned a sharp glance at his successor. "You're a threat to stability." Darui recovered, though less certainly. The council. Naruto interrupted, his voice dropping dangerously. "Always the shadowy councils and elders, making decisions that send others to die." His eyes swept the room. How convenient that none of them are present today. What do you want, Naruto? Tsunade asked, her voice tight with suppressed emotion. Why come here? To deliver a message. And evidence. He nodded to his hooded companion. The figure stepped forward and lowered his hood, revealing the pale, angular face of Sai. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Explain yourself. Tsunade demanded, staring at her ANBU operative in shock. Sai's face remained expressionless, but his eyes held a new resolve. After investigating Sasuke and Sakura's plan, I discovered connections to operations dating back years. Operations designed to weaponize Naruto from childhood. Rude operations, Tsunade said, understanding dawning. Yes, Sai confirmed. But with approval that went beyond Danzo. The council elders. The feudal lord. Even. He hesitated. Elements within the Hokage's office during the third's tenure. Sai placed a sealed box on the table. Complete documentation. Surveillance reports on Naruto from age 3. Psychological profiles designed to maximize his usefulness as a weapon. Contingency plans for his elimination should he ever become uncontrollable. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. I didn't come to fight, Naruto said into the silence. I came to make my position clear. I no longer recognize the authority of Hidden Leaf, nor the shinobi alliance it helped create. I act for myself now, and for those who have been used as pawns in your power games. And what does that mean exactly? Chojuro asked quietly. It means, Naruto's lips curved into a cold smile, that the system you've built is about to change. The hidden villages have monopolized power for too long, hoarding techniques, treating people, treating Jinchuriki, as weapons to be aimed at enemies. You speak of revolution. Gaara observed, his expression unreadable. I speak of consequence. Naruto corrected. Starting today, I'll be releasing forbidden techniques to the public. Clan secrets. Village jutsu. The mystique that gives hidden villages their power will evaporate when everyone has access to the same knowledge. You wouldn't dare. Kuretsuchi hissed. The chaos would be magnificent. Naruto finished. But necessary for something new to emerge. Something better than the system that betrayed me. That betrayed all of us who carry tailed beasts. This is madness. I growled. You'll start another war, perhaps. Naruto's gaze hardened. Or perhaps I'll finally end the cycle that creates wars to begin with. The cycle that treated my mother as a vessel, my father as a tool, and me as a weapon to be aimed at Konoha's enemies. He reached into his cloak one more time, withdrawing a 3-pronged kunai, one of the 4th Hokage's legendary Flying Thunder God weapons. Consider this meeting my declaration of independence. My warning. Back away from hunting me, or face the consequences. Tsunade stood, her face pale with shock and grief. Naruto, please. Whatever Konoha has done, whatever mistakes we've made, this isn't you. This darkness, it isn't the boy who dreamed of becoming Hokage. For a fleeting moment, something vulnerable flickered in Naruto's eyes, a glimpse of the bright-eyed genin who had once proclaimed his dream to the world. Then it vanished, replaced by cold resolve. That boy died the day his teammates plotted to murder him, he said quietly. And what you see before you is exactly what Konoha created. He backed toward the door, Karen alert at his side. You have 24 hours to issue a stand-down order to all Hunter-nin. After that, I stopped playing defense. And Sasuke? Gaara asked, his voice carrying across the sudden tension. What do you intend for him? A smile spread slowly across Naruto's face. Not the warm grin of old, but something predatory. Why, Gaara, I intend to keep my promise. I'm bringing Sasuke back to Konoha. His eyes gleamed. Just not in the way anyone expected. Before anyone could move, Naruto flicked the kunai into the center of the table. The sealed tag wrapped around its handle began to glow. Flying Thunder God, reverse summoning. He whispered. A blinding flash filled the chamber. When it faded, Naruto, Karen, and Sai had vanished, along with all the evidence they'd brought. In the stunned silence that followed, Gaara turned to Tsunade. It appears, he said softly, we have a decision to make. Outside, snow began to fall on the land of iron, covering the tracks of the dark path Naruto had chosen. the makeshift headquarters of Naruto's growing organization sprawled through the cavernous interior of a long-abandoned temple complex, hidden deep within the mountains bordering the land of hot water. Ancient stone pillars rose toward a vaulted ceiling, now reinforced with chakra seals designed by Karen and other Uzumaki survivors. Luminescent fungi cultivated by Yugo cast an eerie blue glow throughout the chambers, providing light without the risk of smoke. Naruto stood at the center of the main hall, surrounded by unfurled scrolls and maps. His fingers traced lines connecting hidden villages, feudal lords' castles, and trading routes. Red marks indicated targets, communications outposts, archives, supply depots. Not for destruction, for infiltration. The 5 Kage summit went exactly as planned, Sai reported, kneeling a respectful distance away. 6 weeks under Naruto's leadership had changed the former root operative subtly. His face more expressive, his loyalty shifted from abstract ideals to a concrete person. They've issued the stand-down order to Hunter Neen, but doubled border security. And Danzo's files? How did they react? Shock. Anger. Division. Sai's mouth curved in the ghost of a smile. The Cloud and Stone delegates immediately began questioning Konoha's trustworthiness. The Mizukage proposed an independent investigation. Naruto nodded, satisfied. And Tsunade? Furious, but not at you. She's launched her own inquiry into the Council Elders' activities. Sai hesitated. She asked me to deliver a message, come home. We can fix this. A bitter laugh escaped Naruto's lips. Home? There's nothing left for me there. And Gaara? He requested a private meeting. Sai's voice softened. He believes in you still. Something flickered across Naruto's face. A shadow of his former self, perhaps. Then it hardened once more. Belief won't change what needs to be done. The conversation halted as Karen burst into the chamber, her face flushed with excitement. They're here, she announced. All of them. Naruto straightened, adjusting the high collar of his black jacket. Show them in. Minutes later, the great hall filled with an unprecedented gathering. Jinchuriki and former Jinchuriki from across the shinobi world. Gaara had not come. His responsibilities as Kazekage prevented such a direct alignment. But the others had answered Naruto's call. Killer Bee, his massive frame dominating the space, rhyming under his breath as always but with a new wariness in his eyes. Fu, the former seven-tailed Jinchuriki, resurrected through methods Orochimaru had provided, her mint-green hair vivid against the stone walls. Utakata, the six-tails host, his bubble pipe held loosely between long fingers. Yugura, the former Mizukage and three-tails Jinchuriki, also restored to life, his childlike appearance belying the power and experience he possessed. Others came too, shinobi who had been cast out by their villages for failed missions or political convenience, clan members whose bloodlines had made them targets, survivors of experiments conducted by power-hungry leaders. All drawn by a simple message. The world that used you is about to change. Naruto surveyed them, feeling Kurama's satisfaction rumbling within him. A gathering of the scorned and discarded, the fox observed. How fitting. You've all come a long way. Naruto began, his voice carrying easily through the chamber. Some of you know me. Others know only rumors. So let me be clear about what I'm offering. He stepped into the center of the gathered outcasts, crimson chakra flickering around him like a living aura. Not revenge, though some of you desire that. Not power, though that will come. What I offer is liberation. From the system that treated us as weapons, as tools, as expendable assets. His gaze swept the assembled faces. The hidden villages maintain their power through monopoly of knowledge, techniques locked away, bloodlines controlled, information restricted. I intend to shatter that monopoly. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. How? Called a voice from the back. A former stone ninja with scars mapping his face. In answer, Naruto gestured to a large stone table at the side of the chamber. On it lay hundreds of scrolls, books, and encoded tablets. Every secret technique my team has recovered. Forbidden jutsu from every village. Clan abilities documented in detail. Starting tomorrow, copies begin circulating throughout the civilian populations of every nation. Shocked silence fell, followed by an eruption of voices. You'll start a bloodbath, someone shouted. The villages will hunt us all down, cried another. Killer Bee stepped forward, his expression unusually serious. Little Nine, I get your pain. The villages played a dirty game. But innocent lives hang in the balance. This move could break the world's stability. Stability? Naruto's voice cut through the din, suddenly cold. What stability? The same stability that led villages to hunt Jinchuriki like animals? The stability that had the Mizukage controlled by Madara for years? The stability where Cloud Ninja tried to kidnap the child for her eyes? His chakra flared, the pressure in the room intensifying until some of the weaker shinobi fell to their knees. I'm not starting chaos, he continued, his voice dropping to a dangerous hush. I'm exposing the chaos that has always existed beneath the surface. The villages don't protect people, they protect power. And it's time that power was redistributed. Yukata raised a slender hand. And when the old system falls, what replaces it? Something new. Something transparent. Naruto's expression softened slightly. I don't have all the answers, but I know the current path leads only to more wars, more children turned into weapons, more betrayal. He turned to the scarred stone ninja who had questioned him. 3 weeks ago, you were ordered to assassinate a feudal lord's son because he spoke against military expansion. The mission went wrong. Civilians died. Your village disavowed you, placed your name in the bingo book, and sent your own teammates to kill you. The man's eyes widened. How did you? I know all of your stories. Naruto interrupted. Every betrayal. Every mission gone wrong. Every order that turned your stomach but that you followed anyway. Because that was what shinobi do. His gaze swept the room again. I'm offering a chance to write a different story. Killer Bee studied Naruto for a long moment, then nodded slowly. The Eight Tails sees your light, though it's wrapped in the night. I'm in, little brother, though this path leads to trouble. One by one, the others indicated their agreement, some with excitement, others with reservation, all with the gleam of purpose in their eyes. As the gathering dispersed to quarters prepared throughout the temple complex, Naruto felt a presence lingering behind him. He turned to find Yugura, the resurrected former Mizukage, watching him with ancient eyes and a youthful face. You're playing a dangerous game, Uzumaki, Yugura said softly. I once tried to change things too, before Madara's control. Do you know what I learned? Naruto waited, saying nothing. Systems resist change. They fight back. And they rarely distinguish between revolutionaries and monsters. Yugura's childlike features twisted with remembered pain. Be careful you don't become what you're fighting against. The words struck closer to home than Naruto cared to admit. Is that why you came? To warn me? Yugura smiled faintly. I came because, unlike you, I failed. And I want to see if someone finally succeeds. He turned to go, then paused. One more thing. Your plan to unveil hidden techniques to the world. It will change everything. But knowledge without wisdom is just another kind of weapon. As Yugura's small form disappeared into the shadows of the temple, Naruto found himself alone with his thoughts. And with Kurama, who had been uncharacteristically quiet throughout the gathering. The little turtle speaks wisdom. The fox finally rumbled. Revolution devours its children, Kit. Even ones as strong as you. I'm not starting a revolution. Naruto replied, staring at the maps and scrolls surrounding him. I'm finishing one. The one my parents began and died for. Your parents fought to protect Konoha. My parents fought to protect people. Naruto corrected sharply. Konoha was just the vehicle they chose. They never saw what was happening behind the scenes, how they were being used. He rolled up a map with a decisive motion. Besides, it's too late for second thoughts. The pieces are in motion. Indeed they are. Kurama agreed, an odd note in his ancient voice. But remember, even I, with all my hatred for humans, never sought to reshape their world. Only to be free of it, and that's exactly what I'm doing. Naruto said softly. Setting us all free. But as night fell over the temple and his followers settled into their new home, Naruto stood alone on a high balcony, gazing at the stars. Yugura's words echoed in his mind, merging with memories of a younger self who had seen the world in simpler terms, who had believed that determination and friendship could overcome any obstacle. That bright-eyed boy seemed like a stranger now, naive, foolish, blind to the darker currents that shape the world. Yet sometimes, in quiet moments like this, Naruto wondered if that boy had understood something he had forgotten. The thought troubled him more than he cared to admit. Konoha Hospital's rehabilitation wing echoed with the sounds of exertion and pain. In a private training room, Sasuke Uchiha moved through forms with painful slowness, sweat drenching his loose training clothes despite the moderate pace. Enough for today, Sakura said from the doorway, her medical clipboard clutched tight against her chest. You're pushing too hard. Sasuke ignored her, launching into another sequence. His movements, once fluid and deadly as lightning, now stuttered and faltered. Halfway through a basic fire-style kata, his legs buckled beneath him. He caught himself on one knee, breath coming in ragged gasps. Damn it, he hissed, frustration twisting his aristocratic features. It's been 2 months. Why isn't it improving? Sakura approached cautiously, medical chakra already glowing around her hands. The damage Naruto inflicted was unprecedented. The Nine Tails chakra somehow corrupted your own chakra network. We're in uncharted territory. She knelt beside him, running diagnostic jutsu with practiced efficiency. Her touch was clinical, professional. The warmth that had once suffused her interactions with Sasuke notably absent. The council is growing impatient, Sasuke said, allowing her examination but staring fixedly at the wall. Naruto's organization grows stronger daily. The release of those forbidden scrolls in the Land of Waves has already caused 3 border skirmishes. The council should have listened to Lady Tsunade, Sakura replied, a hint of bitterness creeping into her voice. If they'd issued the stand-down order immediately instead of dithering for 3 days, it wouldn't have mattered. Sasuke cut her off. Naruto was never going to back down. Not after. He trailed off, the memory of their betrayal hanging unspoken between them. Sakura's hands stilled over his chest. We did what we thought was right, she said mechanically, repeating the justification they'd clung to for months. Did we? Sasuke finally looked at her, his mismatched eyes, one onyx black, one the purple-ringed Rinnegan, searching her face. Or did we do what was convenient? What served our ambitions? The question hung in the air, either willing to voice the growing doubt that had plagued them since that fateful day. The day they had broken something that, perhaps, could never be repaired. A knock at the door saved Sakura from responding. Kakashi entered, his slouched posture belying the tension evident in his visible eye. Tsunade has called an emergency meeting, he announced without preamble. Naruto's been spotted. In Amigekure, Sasuke struggled to his feet, ignoring Sakura's protests. Doing what? Meeting with their new leadership. Apparently, he's offering them access to Uzumaki's sealing techniques in exchange for amnesty for his followers. Kakashi's eye narrowed. But that's not all. Intelligence suggests he's planning something bigger. Something specifically aimed at Konoha. When do we leave? Sasuke demanded, already reaching for his sword propped against the wall. You don't, Kakashi replied flatly. You're not combat ready, and you know it. This is a reconnaissance mission only. We need information about his plans, not a confrontation. Sasuke's face darkened with anger. This is my responsibility. My mess to clean up. Yes, it is. Kakashi agreed, his voice hardening. But your guilt doesn't outweigh tactical reality. You'd be a liability in the field. The words struck Sasuke like physical blows. His hand tightened on his sword hilt until his knuckles whitened. Besides, Kakashi continued, his tone softening slightly, there's something else you need to see. Something Tsunade's team found in the archives I identified. What? Sakura asked, stepping protectively closer to Sasuke. Kakashi's expression grew grim. Evidence that suggests the Uchiha massacre may not have been entirely Itachi's decision. That the council may have ordered it. With the third Hokage's knowledge, Sasuke went utterly still, the color draining from his face. What did you say? He whispered. It seems, Kakashi said carefully, that Naruto isn't the only one Konoha has betrayed. The implications hung heavy in the air. If true, it meant that Sasuke's entire life, his quest for vengeance against his brother, his defection, everything that had led to this moment, had been built on a foundation of lies, just as Naruto's had been. Show me. Sasuke demanded, his voice deadly quiet, as Kakashi led them from the rehabilitation wing toward the Hokage Tower. None of them noticed the small, white snake that had been coiled in the corner of the training room. It slithered through a vent and out into Konoha's streets, carrying its intelligence back to its master, and through its master, to Naruto. The web of secrets, lies, and betrayal stretched further than anyone had imagined. And as those secrets unraveled, the foundation of the shinobi world trembled. Amigekyo lived up to its name, perpetual rain drumming against metal buildings that rose like industrial stalagmites from the sodden earth. Naruto stood on a high balcony of the tallest tower, letting the rain soak through his clothes, plaster his hair to his forehead. The constant downpour suited his mood, relentless, inescapable, transforming everything it touched. He sensed a presence behind him but didn't turn. "You have news, Karen?" "2 pieces," she confirmed, staying beneath the shelter of the doorway. "First, Orochimaru's spy in Konoha reports that Sasuke has been shown the Uchiha massacre files. He's not taking it well." A cold smile touched Naruto's lips. "As expected." "And the second? The team you sent to the land of whirlpools has returned. They found it, the main Uzumaki archive, hidden beneath the ruins. Sealed and intact." Now Naruto did turn, rain streaming down his face, eyes gleaming with triumph. "Perfect. Have them bring it directly to the northern hideout. I'll examine it personally." Karen hesitated, adjusting her glasses nervously. "There's one more thing. Hinata Hyuga was spotted near our western outpost. Alone." Naruto went perfectly still. "Alone? No ANBU escort? No backup? None that our sensors could detect." She made no hostile moves, just waited. As if she knew we were watching. Karen studied his face carefully. "She left a message. For you." "What message?" "The moon still sees the sun, even when the world is dark." Karen frowned. "What does that mean?" Naruto's expression softened almost imperceptibly. "It means she still believes in me." He turned back to the rain-drenched vista of Amigekyo. "Have Yugo escort her to the secondary base if she returns. No blindfold, no restraints. You trust her that much?" Karen couldn't keep the surprise from her voice. "Hinata has never betrayed me," Naruto said simply. "Not everyone from Konoha is an enemy." As Karen departed, Naruto closed his eyes, feeling the rain trace paths down his face like tears he refused to shed. Hinata's message stirred something he tried to bury, a memory of gentler days, of a girl who had always seen him clearly when others looked past him. "She was the first to love you without condition," Kurama observed within him. "Even before me, she deserves better than what I'd become." Naruto murmured, "Perhaps. Or perhaps she understands better than you think." Before Naruto could respond, another presence approached, heavier footsteps, a larger chakra signature. Killer Bee joined him at the railing, seemingly unbothered by the downpour. "Little Nine, our time is fine, but we need to talk about your next design," he rapped, his sunglasses somehow remaining in place despite the rain. "The scrolls you've dropped have the villages hopped, but your real target's still in the dark." Naruto nodded. "Konoha, you planning to burn it down?" "That move would make me frown. Innocents don't deserve the hurt. For sins of those who treat them like dirt, I'm not going to destroy Konoha," Naruto replied, his voice quiet but firm. "I'm going to expose it. Force it to face everything it's buried." Bee studied him for a long moment. "Your eyes show hate, but also weight. The burden heavy on your soul. Revenge is taking its toll." Something flashed across Naruto's face. Anger, perhaps, or pain. "This isn't about revenge. No?" Bee's voice dropped the rhyming pattern, suddenly serious. "Then what drives you to tear down the village you once loved?" "The village your parents died protecting?" "Justice," Naruto replied immediately. "Truth. Freedom from a system built on lies and sacrifice." "Noble words," Bee acknowledged. "But the Eight Tails sees deeper. He says your chakra's grown darker these past weeks. That the kid who saved the world is disappearing beneath the weight of betrayal." Naruto turned away. "That kid was a fool. He trusted blindly, believed the pretty lies they fed him. That kid," Bee countered, placing a massive hand on Naruto's shoulder. Had something you're losing. Hope. The belief that people can change, that tomorrow can be better than today. I still believe in change. Naruto insisted. Why else would I be doing this? But do you believe in redemption? He asked softly. For Konoha? For Sasuke and Sakura? For yourself? The question struck deeper than Naruto wanted to admit. He shrugged off B's hand. Some things can't be redeemed. Sometimes, the only path forward is to burn down what can't be saved and build something new from the ashes. B sighed, his usual exuberance dimmed by genuine concern. Just make sure you don't burn away the best parts of yourself in the process, little brother. As Killer Bee departed, leaving him alone with the rain and his thoughts, Naruto felt Kurama stirring restlessly within him. The ox is wiser than he appears, the fox commented. He senses what I've been feeling. Your chakra is changing, Kit. Growing darker. Colder. Is that concern I hear, Kurama? Naruto asked with a bitter smile. I thought you'd appreciate my embrace of darker impulses. Once, perhaps. Kurama's voice held an unfamiliar note of uncertainty. But that was before you changed me. Before you showed me another way. Naruto laughed. A harsh, broken sound barely audible above the rain. Ironic, isn't it? I saved you from your hatred, only to fall into my own. It isn't too late to change course. Kurama suggested carefully. The Hyuga girl's message, we've come too far. Naruto interrupted, his hands tightening on the railing until the metal groaned beneath his grip. The shinobi system is rotting from within. Someone has to tear it down, and I've already made myself the villain in their eyes. Might as well finish what I've started. Within Naruto's mindscape, Kurama observed his host with ancient, troubled eyes. The bright child who had changed the heart of an immortal being of hatred was fading, consumed by pain and disillusionment, and for the first time in his long existence, the Nine-Tails found himself in the unexpected position of advocating for mercy rather than vengeance. But some wounds ran too deep for even a tailed beast to heal. The atmosphere in the Hokage's office crackled with tension. Tsunade stood behind her desk, amber eyes blazing with barely contained fury. Before her stood the Konoha Council elders, Hamura and Koharu, their aged faces set in expressions of grim defiance. Explain this, Tsunade demanded, slapping a folder onto her desk. Explain how you authorized the elimination of an entire clan without full Hokage's sanction. Koharu's wrinkled features tightened with disdain. Those documents were classified for a reason. Her voice was brittle as old parchment. The Uchiha were planning a coup. They would have plunged Konoha into civil war, so you had them butchered. Tsunade slammed her fist down, splintering the solid oak desk. Men, women, children, an entire bloodline wiped out on your order, on Danzo's recommendation. Hamura interjected, his roomy eyes darting nervously to the cracked desk. With Hiruzen's reluctant approval. The situation was more complex then. I've read the files. Tsunade cut him off, her voice deadly quiet. All of them. Including the alternative Shursui Uchiha proposed. The diplomatic solutions you rejected. The evidence of Root's provocations that exacerbated tensions. She leaned forward, her shadow falling across the elders like a physical weight. You didn't just kill a clan. You created Sasuke's hatred. Itachi's suffering. You planted the seeds that Madara and Obito harvested. Every death in the Fourth War can be traced back to your decision. Koharu's chin lifted, defiant despite her age. We acted to protect Konoha. You acted to protect your power. Tsunade countered, disgust evident in every syllable. And now that same arrogance, that same willingness to sacrifice others, has cost us Naruto. The office door burst open. Sasuke stood in the entrance, his face a mask of barely controlled rage. Behind him hovered Kakashi, his one visible eye filled with concern. I heard everything, Sasuke said, each word edged with ice. You ordered my brother to slaughter our family. Made him a pariah. Left me alive as a, what? A spare Uchiha? Insurance? Hamura backed away, alarm evident in his stance. The Uchiha blood was too valuable to lose entirely. Valuable? Sasuke's laugh was a broken, jagged thing. Like a rare kunai? A useful weapon? His Rinnegan eye began to glow, chakra swirling visibly. Kakashi stepped forward, placing a restraining hand on his former student's shoulder. "Sasuke," he warned softly. "This isn't the way." For a moment, the tension in the room was unbearable. Sasuke's killing intent so thick it seemed to distort the air. Then, gradually, he regained control, though the hatred in his eyes burned no less brightly. "Now I understand," he said, his voice hollow. Why Naruto turned. What he saw that day in the forest wasn't just personal betrayal. He glimpsed the truth about Konoha. What I've been too blind to see. He turned to Tsunade. Every word he said at the 5 Kage summit was true, wasn't it? The village system is corrupt at its core. Tsunade met his gaze unflinchingly. Parts of it, yes. That doesn't justify what he's doing now, doesn't it? Sasuke's hand drifted to his sword. I hunted my brother for years based on a lie. I returned to a village that had orchestrated my clan's destruction. And then I conspired to kill the one person who never gave up on me. His voice cracked slightly. I've been a puppet all along, dancing on strings I couldn't even see. Koharu stepped forward, her aged face hardening. Your loyalty is to Konoha, Uchiha. Whatever past mistakes, my loyalty, Sasuke interrupted, eyes flashing dangerously, is to the truth. Something this village seems allergic to. He turned to leave, pausing at the threshold. I'm going to find Naruto. Not to kill him, to join him. Sasuke! Kakashi's voice cut through the stunned silence. Think about what you're saying. Naruto's organization has killed people. His actions threaten the peace we fought for. Peace built on lies isn't peace at all. Sasuke replied without turning. It's just a prettier prison. He glanced back, his mismatched eyes sweeping the room. Naruto understood that before any of us. I owe him the chance to explain his vision face to face. As he vanished into the corridor, Tsunade sank into her chair, suddenly looking every one of her decades. Assemble the Jonin Council, she ordered Kakashi, and placed the elders under house arrest. Her honey-colored eyes narrowed. It's time Konoha faced its shadows. Deep beneath the ruins of Uzushiogakure, surrounded by crumbling stone and salt air, Naruto knelt before an ancient vault door. Intricate seals, far more complex than anything he'd encountered before, spiraled across its surface, glowing faintly in the dim light. These are master-level Uzumaki seals. Karen breathed, her glasses reflecting the ethereal patterns. Created before the village was destroyed. No one has opened this vault in decades. Naruto traced the patterns with reverent fingers. My mother might have known these techniques, he murmured. If she'd lived. If Konoha hadn't used her as a weapon. The bitterness in his voice echoed in the cavernous space. Around them stood a dozen followers, a mix of former Jinchuriki, clan outcasts, and disillusioned shinobi who had rallied to his cause. They watched in respectful silence as the two surviving Uzumaki confronted their heritage. It will take blood, Karen said, already withdrawing a kunai. Uzumaki blood, freely given. The inner seals will only respond to our chakra. Naruto nodded, extending his palm. The blade bit deep, crimson welling up immediately. He pressed his bleeding hand against the central spiral of the vault door. Karen did the same, her blood mingling with his on the ancient stone. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the seals blazed to life, lines of chakra racing along the patterns like lightning, the stone resonating with a deep, thrumming note that shook dust from the ceiling. Slowly, ponderously, the vault doors swung inward. Bring the lights, Naruto ordered, stepping through the doorway into absolute darkness. Luminescent crystals were raised high, illuminating a sight that took their breath away. Row upon row of scrolls, books, and tablets, perfectly preserved in a space that seemed to exist outside time itself. The accumulated knowledge of the Uzumaki clan, masters of sealing jutsu, experts in chakra manipulation, keepers of secrets too dangerous for the wider world. It's all here, Karen whispered, tears streaming unnoticed down her face. Our whole history. Everything the other villages tried to destroy when they feared our power. Naruto moved to a central pedestal where a single scroll lay open, the writing upon it still vibrant despite its age. His eyes widened as he scanned the text. This is... His voice faltered. Karen, this is a technique for redistributing tailed beast chakra. For sharing it between multiple hosts, Karen looked up sharply from the shelf she'd been examining. That's impossible. The stress would kill any vessel besides the main Jinchuriki, not according to this. Naruto's fingers traced the intricate diagrams. This seal network allows for partial transference without compromising the primary seal. Limited power, but distributed widely, understanding dawned in Karen's eyes. An army with 9 tails chakra, not just Kurama's. Naruto corrected, a fierce light kindling in his eyes. I carry fragments of all 9-tailed beasts within me. This could allow me to share that power with those who follow us. Not to create weapons, to create equals who could stand against hidden village shinobi. Karen noted, excitement coloring her voice. Who could defend themselves against Hunter Nin and Anbu? Naruto rolled up the scroll with careful hands. This changes everything. The villages maintain control through superior military force. But if civilian populations had access to even a fraction of tailed beast chakra, they could resist. Karen finished. Self-govern. Break away from hidden village dominance. The possibilities unfurled in Naruto's mind like a blossoming flower, dark and beautiful. Not destruction, but transformation. Not revenge, but revolution. We'll need time to study these techniques, he said, already forming shadow clones to begin cataloging the vault's contents. And specific materials for the sealing arrays. The Forgotten Island, one of the former Mist Ninjas suggested. It has naturally occurring chakra-conductive crystal deposits. Unmined because the Mizukage restricted access, Naruto nodded. Make preparations. We move the operation there immediately. His gaze swept over his assembled followers. What we found here isn't just knowledge, it's liberation. The means to finally break the cycle of violence the hidden village system created. As his team began the careful process of transporting the ancient archive, Naruto stepped aside, communing silently with Kurama. This path is dangerous, kid, the fox cautioned. Distributing tailed beast chakra has never been done on this scale. The consequences could be unpredictable. The current system is what's dangerous, Naruto countered. It concentrates power in the hands of the few, who inevitably abuse it. This way, everyone can protect themselves, and if they use that power not for defense, but conquest? If they become the very thing you sought to dismantle? Naruto had no immediate answer. For all his conviction, for all his righteous anger, the shadow of doubt flickered briefly across his consciousness. What if Kurama was right? What if, in attempting to break one cycle of violence, he was simply creating another? The moment passed, resolution hardening once more in his heart. We'll build safeguards into the seals. Limitations. Guidance. His hands clenched at his sides. I have to try, Kurama. The alternative is letting the hidden villages continue as they always have, sacrificing people like my parents, like Gaara, like all the Jinchuriki, for their twisted vision of peace. He felt Kurama's reluctant acceptance more than heard it. A shift in the ancient entity's chakra. A resigned acknowledgement. Then we will try. The fox conceded. But remember what the turtle boy said. Become not the monster you fight against. Naruto's expression softened momentarily. That's why I have you, old friend. To remind me of who I was. Who I could be again, someday, if this works. As they emerged from the ancient ruins into the salt-tinged air of Yuzushiobiku's broken shores, Naruto gazed out at the churning sea. Somewhere across those waters lay Konoha, the village that had shaped him, betrayed him, and now feared him. Soon, they would understand exactly what their betrayal had created. Not just a vengeful former Jinchuriki, but the architect of a new world order. Midnight in the land of frost. Moonlight spilled across ice-crusted landscapes, transforming the world into a glittering dreamscape of silver and shadow. The air hung still and frigid, each breath materializing as a crystalline cloud. In this frozen tableau, movement, a small team of elite shinobi, moving with practiced silence across the unforgiving terrain. Their faces were hidden behind porcelain masks painted with animal features. Konoha Anbu on the hunt. At their head moved a slender figure, long indigo hair spilling from beneath a fox-patterned mask. Hinata Hyuga, newly recruited to the Black Ops division, led the tracking unit with the silent grace that had become her hallmark since the war. Any sign? asked the eagle-masked operative at her right, voice barely above a whisper. Hinata's Byakugan pulsed beneath her mask, veins spreading in an intricate network as she scanned the landscape. Nothing yet. But the intelligence was specific. Naruto's forces moved through this region 3 days ago, if they were here at all, muttered the boar-masked shinobi behind her. Feels like we're chasing ghosts. Hinata offered no response, focusing instead on extending her visual range to its limits. For weeks now, she'd led mission after mission, ostensibly hunting Naruto and his growing organization. Tsunade had handpicked her for these assignments, a decision that had raised eyebrows among the council. Given her well-known feelings for the rogue Jinchuriki, what no one knew, what Hinata had shared with no one save the Hokage herself, was the true purpose of these missions: to find Naruto before Danzo's remnant root forces did. To establish contact. To understand. A flicker of chakra caught her attention, faint but distinctive. A familiar signature that made her heart stutter in its rhythm. East Ridge, she announced, gesturing sharply. 2 kilometers. I detect a patrol of 4. The team responded instantly, adjusting their course. They moved with synchronized precision through the frozen forests, breath misting in their wake, feet leaving barely a trace on the crystalline ground. Hinata led them unerringly toward the chakra signature, her mind racing beneath the calm exterior of her mask. If it was truly Naruto's people, or Naruto himself, what then? The ANBU squad expected capture or combat. They didn't know that their captain harbored different intentions entirely. They crested a ridge overlooking a small valley. Below, 4 figures traversed the open ground, one massive and instantly recognizable. Yugo of the Scales, the eagle-masked ANBU whispered. Confirmed associate of Naruto's organization. And the others? Asked the boar. Unknown. Hinata replied, though she recognized at least one. A former cloud ninja who had defected following the first wave of Forbidden Scroll releases. Hold position. I'll move closer for better reconnaissance. Before her teammates could object, she was gone, moving through the snow-laden branches with the silence of a shadow. The distance between her and her squad grew with each leap, precisely as she had planned. When she judged herself sufficiently separated, Hinata altered her course, circling to approach Yugo's group from a different angle. Not with stealth now, but deliberately allowing her chakra signature to flare briefly. A signal. The reaction below was immediate. Yugo froze, his massive head turning unerringly toward her position. He said something to his companions, who dispersed into defensive positions while he stood alone in the center of the clearing, waiting. Hinata descended from the trees, landing in a soft puff of displaced snow 30 paces from the orange-haired giant. She removed her mask, revealing her face to the moonlight. Hinata Hyuga. Yugo acknowledged, his voice surprisingly gentle for one of his imposing stature. We've been expecting you. Where is he? She asked simply. Not here. Yugo's eyes, calm now, showing no sign of the berserker rage that had once defined him, studied her with surprising insight. But he received your message. He sent me to bring you to him, if that's what you want. Hinata didn't hesitate. It is, and your ambutine will report that I pursued a suspect alone and didn't return. Her pale eyes betrayed no doubt, no hesitation. Tsunade will understand what that means. Yugo nodded slowly. You're abandoning your village, your clan, your life. Why? Hinata's gaze didn't waver. Because some bonds transcend loyalty to a system. Because I've watched Naruto suffer at the hands of that system his entire life. Her voice softened. Because I've never stopped believing in him, even now. Something like respect flickered in Yugo's expression. You realize he's changed. He's not the bright-eyed boy who dreamed of becoming Hokage. Neither am I the shy girl who watched from the shadows. Hinata countered, a new steel in her voice. We all change. That doesn't mean we lose our essential truth. After a long moment, Yugo nodded. You'll need to be blindfolded for part of the journey. Security protocols, I understand. As Yugo approached with a strip of dark cloth, Hinata cast one last glance toward the ridge where her ANBU team waited. Once she crossed this line, there would be no going back. She would be marked a defector, a traitor to Konoha. But loyalty to a person wasn't the same as loyalty to an institution. She had learned that lesson watching Naruto all these years. His unwavering dedication to his precious people. His willingness to defy orders and conventions to protect those he cared for. It was time to show that same courage herself. The blindfold descended, plunging her world into darkness. Hinata felt no fear, only a strange sense of liberation. Whatever Naruto had become, whatever darkness had claimed him, she would face it directly. With eyes that had always seen him clearly, even when he couldn't see himself. Absolutely not. Tsunade's fist crashed into her desk, completing the destruction her earlier blow had begun. The wooden surface collapsed entirely, sending scrolls and documents cascading to the floor. I will not authorize an assassination order against Hinata Hyuga. Across from her stood two figures. Hayashi Hyuga, his aristocratic features locked in a mask of cold fury, and Ibiki Marino, the head of Konoha's intelligence division, his scarred face impassive. My daughter has defected to a known terrorist organization, Hayashi stated, each word precise as a kunai strike. The protocols are clear. She possesses sensitive information about village defenses, Byakugan techniques, ANBU operations. She made contact with Naruto's group on my orders. Tsunade interrupted, amber eyes flashing. As part of an ongoing operation you failed to disclose to the council. Ibiki noted, his deep voice carefully neutral. Or to the Hyuga clan head, because the council and certain clan heads have proven themselves unreliable where Naruto is concerned. Tsunade shot back. Need I remind you that this entire crisis began with unauthorized actions taken behind my back? Hayashi's pale eyes narrowed. Whatever the origin of this situation, my daughter has now officially abandoned her post. The ANBU report is clear. She removed her mask, spoke with the enemy, and willingly departed with them. She's our only link to Naruto. Tsunade countered, moderating her tone with visible effort. Our only chance to understand what he's planning and potentially de-escalate this situation before it spirals further out of control. Or she's been compromised by her well-known feelings for the Jinchuriki. Ibiki suggested, his scarred features betraying nothing of his personal opinion. In which case, she represents a critical security breach. Tsunade straightened, her legendary presence filling the office despite the broken desk between them. Let me be perfectly clear. No action will be taken against Hinata Hyuga without my explicit authorization. She is to be considered an active intelligence asset in deep cover. Any harm that comes to her will be treated as direct insubordination to the Hokage. Hayashi's face flushed with barely contained anger. You overstep your authority. The Hyuga clan. Tsunade cut him off coldly. Serves Konoha. Not the other way around. Your daughter has shown more courage and strategic thinking than half the jonin in this village. She saw an opportunity to reach Naruto directly and took it, at great personal risk. She fixed Hayashi with a stare that had made hardened shinobi quail. Instead of demanding her execution, perhaps you should reflect on why she felt compelled to take such drastic action. A tense silence filled the office, broken only when the doors slid open to admit Shikamaru Nara. The young strategist took in the destroyed desk, the standoff between Hokage and clan head, and sighed deeply. Troublesome timing, he muttered. But this can't wait. He held out a scroll bearing the Wind Country seal. Message from Gaara. Urgent. Tsunade broke her staring contest with Hayashi to take the scroll, scanning its contents with increasing alarm. Damn it, she breathed. What is it? Ibiki asked, professional interest overriding the previous tension. Sasuke has made contact with Naruto's organization. Tsunade announced, her voice grim. Sand Intelligence spotted them meeting in the Land of Rivers 3 days ago. They appeared to be collaborating. The implications hung heavy in the air. Konoha's last loyal Uchiha, the prodigy who had been groomed as a future Hokage candidate, now potentially aligned with the very force they were struggling to contain. First my daughter, now the Uchiha. Hayashi said coldly. Your failure to control your subordinates grows more concerning by the day, Lady Tsunade. Get out. Tsunade replied, her voice deadly quiet. Both of you. Shikamaru stay, after the others had departed. Hayashi with rigid dignity, Ibiki with professional detachment. Tsunade sagged into the chair behind her ruined desk, It's falling apart, she said softly. Everything we built after the war. The trust. The alliances. All crumbling because of secrets that should have been exposed years ago. Sakura picked up a fallen sake bottle that had miraculously survived the death's destruction, examining it thoughtfully. Maybe that's the point, he suggested. Maybe Naruto's forcing a reckoning that was long overdue, by releasing forbidden techniques to civilian populations? By recruiting disaffected shinobi into what amounts to a private army? Tsunade shook her head. That's not a reckoning, it's chaos. Is it though? Sakura set the bottle down, his lazy expression belying the sharp intelligence in his eyes. Think about it. What has Naruto actually attacked since he left? Not people, information monopolies, power structures. The very systems that treated him as a weapon his entire life. He slouched against the wall, hands in his pockets. Troublesome as it is to admit, there's a method to what he's doing. He's not destroying the shinobi world. He's forcing it to evolve. Tsunade's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. You almost sound like you sympathize with him. I understand him. Sakura corrected carefully. And frankly, if I'd been through what he has, if I'd discovered my entire life was engineered to create the perfect village weapon, only to be discarded when I became too powerful to control. He shrugged. I might have done worse than release a few scrolls. Tsunade was silent for a long moment, turning Gaara's message over in her hands. If Sasuke and Hinata have both joined him, that changes the equation. Those two saw his betrayal from opposite sides, Sasuke as perpetrator, Hinata as loyal friend. If they both find merit in his cause now, then maybe we should be asking different questions. Sakura finished. Not how to stop Naruto, but whether what he's doing needs to be stopped at all. The idea hung between them, radical and dangerous, yet increasingly difficult to dismiss. Outside the broken window of the Hokage's office, a raven perched on a nearby roof lifted into flight, its red eyes gleaming unnaturally in the fading light. It soared over the village, beyond the walls, and into the gathering dusk, carrying its observations to a pair of mismatched eyes that had once belonged to Konoha, but now served a different vision entirely. The game of shadows and secrets continued, with pieces moving into position for a confrontation that would reshape the shinobi world forever. The forgotten island rose from the churning sea like the spine of some ancient beast, jagged black rock formations jutting toward the storm-laden sky. No natural vegetation softened its harsh contours. No conventional structures marred its primordial face. Only the elements had shaped this place: wind, water, and the strange chakra-infused crystals that erupted from its volcanic heart. It was here, in this desolate yet oddly beautiful location, that Naruto had established his true headquarters. Not in the abandoned temples that served as decoys, nor in the network of caves that housed many of his followers, but in a structure grown rather than built. A massive crystalline formation at the island's center, shaped through a combination of Earth-style jutsu and Uzumaki sealing arts into a fortress that seemed to drink in the lightning that frequently struck its highest spires. Within the central chamber of this crystalline citadel, Naruto stood before an enormous sealing array etched into the floor. Concentric circles filled with spiraling script, connecting 9 smaller arrays that surrounded a larger central design. The entire pattern pulsed with a subtle glow, chakra flowing through the etchings like blood through veins. The integration is complete, Karen announced, adjusting her glasses as she studied the readouts from various monitoring seals placed strategically around the chamber. The crystal structure has fully bonded with the sealing array. It's stable. Naruto nodded, satisfaction evident in his crimson-tinged eyes. 7 weeks of non-stop work had culminated in this moment. The creation of a seal network unlike any the shinobi world had seen before. A system designed not to imprison tailed beasts, but to share their power in controlled, measured ways. Begin the first test, he ordered, moving to take his position at the center of the array. Around the chamber's perimeter stood his inner circle, Karen, monitoring the seal's stability. Yugo, whose natural ability to absorb natural energy had proven invaluable in stabilizing the crystal matrix. Suigetsu, uncharacteristically serious as he maintained a water barrier to contain any potential chakra leakage. And 2 figures whose presence would have shocked Konoha. Sasuke Uchiha and Hinata Hyuga, stationed at critical junctures of the array where their unique visual prowess could track the chakra flow with unparalleled precision. Releasing primary containment in 3, 2, 1. Karen intoned, activating a sequence of hand science. The sealing array blazed to life, lines of chakra surging from the outer rings toward the center where Naruto stood. Within his mindscape, Kurama stirred, tails swishing with nervous energy. "This is unprecedented, kid," the fox cautioned. Even for the sage of 6 paths, the sage didn't have access to Uzumaki's sealing techniques. Naruto replied, his physical body beginning to glow with golden chakra. Or a willing partnership with the tailed beasts. As the surge of power reached him, Naruto closed his eyes, focusing on the fragments of chakra he carried from each of the 9 tailed beasts. Not just Kurama's overwhelming power, but the distinctive energies of all his Biju siblings. Shikaka's sand binding, Metatabi's blue flame, Isabu's water affinity, Son Goku's lava manipulation, Koku's steam, Saiken's caustic bubbles, Komiai's flight, Gyuki's ink, all harmonized by Kurama's dominant presence. He reached for these energies, not to use them himself, but to channel them into the waiting array. "Now!" he called out, his voice echoing with harmonics as the Biju chakra flowed through him. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The sealing array transformed from lines etched in stone to rivers of liquid light, chakra visible flowing outward toward the 9 secondary nodes where willing participants waited. Former Jinchuriki, for the most part, their bodies already acclimated to tailed beast energy. Yagura at Isabu's node, Yudokata at Saiken's, Fu at Komiai's, Killer Bee at Gyuki's, and others selected for their compatibility with the remaining beasts. Not to become full Jinchuriki, that wasn't the purpose, but to serve as conduits, secondary anchors for a distributed system. The chamber filled with gasps and exclamations as the chakra transfer activated. Each recipient began to glow with a fraction of their assigned beast's power. Not the full transformation of a Jinchuriki, but a controlled, stable sharing of specific abilities. Visual confirmation. Kanata called out, her Byakugan bulging with the strain of tracking such massive chakra flows. The secondary pathways are forming as predicted. Chakra signatures stable and balanced, Rinnegan confirms. Sasuke added, his mismatched eyes narrowed in concentration. No rejection patterns. The distribution is holding. For one breathtaking moment, the entire array burned with such brightness that even the observers had to shield their eyes. Then, gradually, the glow subsided to a sustainable level, the chakra flow settling into a steady rhythm. Naruto opened his eyes, surveying the results with satisfaction. Around the chamber, each participant was testing their new abilities. Fu hovering slightly above the ground with translucent insect wings. Yagura manipulating a small sphere of water with unprecedented precision. Yudokata blowing bubbles that curved and moved in defiance of physics. It worked, Karen breathed, all evident in her voice. The chakra distribution is stable. The secondary anchors are holding. Naruto nodded, the golden glow gradually receding from his form as the system balanced itself. "This is just the beginning," he said, his voice carrying easily through the chamber. "These 9 anchors will allow us to extend the network further. Controlled distribution to our followers, scaled according to their compatibility and need, not an army of Jinchuriki," Sasuke observed, moving to stand beside him at the center of the now quieted array. "But a network of empowered individuals, connected through the tailed beast chakra. Connected, but autonomous," Naruto emphasized, his gaze sweeping the chamber. "Each person maintains their identity, their will. This isn't about control. It's about distribution of power that has been hoarded for too long." Hinata approached from her monitoring position, her pale eyes reflecting the residual glow of the sealing array. "The chakra pathways are unlike anything I've ever seen," she said softly. "They're beautiful. Interconnected but not invasive." Naruto's expression softened as it always did in her presence. Since her arrival weeks ago, Hinata had become an unexpected anchor for him. Not just because of her Byakugan's utility in his work, but because of her unwavering belief in his essential goodness, even as his methods grew more radical. "What's the next phase?" Sasuke asked, pragmatic as always. "We expand the network beyond this room," Naruto replied, turning back to the array. "Carefully, strategically. Not everyone will receive the same abilities or level of power. That would be chaos. But enough to change the fundamental balance between hidden villages and the populations they claim to protect. A shadow crossed his face. And then we take the fight directly to those who've maintained this broken system. Starting with Konoha's council, Sasuke's eyes narrowed. Not the village itself? No. Naruto's voice was firm on this point. Never the innocent. Only those who knowingly perpetuated the lies. The ones who ordered the Uchiha massacre. Who turned Jinchuriki into weapons. Who treated children as disposable tools for their ambitions. He turned to face his inner circle fully, his eyes burning with conviction. Make no mistake, what we're doing will cause upheaval. There will be resistance. Attempts to frame us as terrorists, criminals, madmen. But history is written by those with the power to enforce their narrative. And after today, that power no longer belongs exclusively to the hidden villages. Killer B, testing the new limitations of his partial transformation, paused to regard Naruto with uncharacteristic seriousness. Revolution sounds mighty fine when you're dropping the design. But after the fighting comes the hardest part, building something that won't fall apart. The observation hung in the air, a question none of them had fully answered yet. What would replace the system they sought to dismantle? Who would guide the world that emerged from the ashes of the old order? We'll cross that bridge when we come to it, Naruto said after a moment, though the slight furrow of his brow suggested the question had struck home. For now, we focus on Phase 2. Karen, begin preparations for the wider distribution network. Sasuke, coordinate with our intelligence cells. I want to know the moment Konoha discovers what we've created here. As the group dispersed to their assigned tasks, Hinata lingered, her perceptive gaze studying Naruto's face. You're troubled, she observed quietly. Just focus, he replied, but the deflection didn't work on eyes that had watched him so carefully for so many years. B is right, you know, she said, stepping closer. Destruction is the easy part, even when it's justified. Creation is harder. Messier, Naruto sighed, some of his carefully maintained facade slipping away.